Hi everyone! In today's coloring video I am going to color stamps from the Pretty Princess and the Friendly Unicorn stamp sets. I am using them here in a shadow box and that tutorial will be linked in the description down below and at the end of the video if you are interested. So I'm starting off here with the little princess. Forgot to lean the camera a little bit. Don't worry, in my future videos I actually do remember it. I have a couple of videos lined up. The coloring today is a little bit different than I usually do. I usually have a very high amount of contrast and depth in my images. However, these little princesses, they have so teeny tiny arms. They are kind of thinner in how they look. So I decided to go with a much simpler coloring technique and I really liked it. It worked really good with where I wanted it to be in, kind of the idea I was after. So don't be afraid to play around with your coloring to make it feel the way you do. This is a little bit softer, it's a little bit more storybook-esque. So what I've done is I'm using the E21, the E00 and the E50 for her skin, and then I'm adding the R32, sorry, the R32 and the R30 to her cheeks to make them really red and beautiful. For her hair, I'm using YR23, 21 and 20. That is some yellow red colors, and they actually, this is more of a caramel tone. I really love it. I usually go darker when I go with the caramels. The YR24, I think it is, has a lot more depth in it. However, I wanted her to have like a strawberry blonde color, so that is what I'm going for here. Again, I'm really working on like this going to be very soft, very storybook-esque. And also I wanted to kind of vibe with the black lines. It's very hard to make like no line coloring with light colors. You do want that contrast. So when I decided to go with black outlines on these images, I knew I wanted to go for a softer feeling, because then you don't have to worry about if colors are very similar in value, close to each other. Usually you want your skin and your hair to have very different values to make them separate pieces. But when you work with them with black lines, you already have the separations in the black lines, and then you are forgiven and can use very soft colors together. You don't have to worry about them value wise, kind of a mesh. And the value is basically the darkness of the color. If I would take a black and white photo of this, it would not have as much contrast as it should. Some of the colors would look the same kind of tone of gray, even though they're very different colors. And that is what I'm talking about with value. So I went over twice with her hair because the YR20s are very soft and I wanted a little bit more depth, and you can get that just by doing a second layer to just pump up the volume slightly without going to a darker color. For her dress, I'm going to make it pink. Now, I'm going to warn you, the R32 and the R30 is very hard to blend. It is one of those, the R30s have very distinct levels between them, between the 32 and the 30, but also between the 35 and the 32. And usually when I work with those colors, I would do a lot of tip to tip techniques. So that means that I would pick up some of the R32 with the tip of the R30 to kind of just go from the darker to the lighter and build a bridge between those. But in this case, because I'm going with such light layers, I didn't feel that I needed to, but it can be hard. So it is a technique you need to try and you need to kind of fiddle with a little bit. For my lightest color, I went into with the R000. The R000 is a little bit more towards kind of the bluer pinks, but there isn't really that many cherry pinks or peachy pinks in the Copics. So I thought by extending the R30 and just leaving a sliver of the R000, that kind of helped with it looking a little bit better. For my unicorns, I am shading with blue. Instead of using grays, I'm using blue, and that makes them look a little bit more fantastical. And I thought that would be kind of where I wanted to go with this. I wanted to be very, very soft, so I'm just using the B000 and the B000. So very, very, very light blues. If you're using other pens, this is a thing that I have found out by looking a lot on YouTube. When it comes to markers, one of the things that the Copics has that many other markers don't is these very, very light colors. So if you have other colors, other brands, you might want to invest with a couple of Copics that is a little bit lighter if that is missing in your color scheme. But yeah. Then I'm going to go in with the B01 for the feet, the G02 for one part of the mane, Y13, YR12, and the V12. And then I'm going to go in with the R32. Yeah, as you saw, I did a little bit of a oopsie there. I put the purple before I put the red. So I just added the red again, and you're not the wiser, almost. Because the other little unicorn is so far in the back, you don't actually see that there's a difference in the pinky tone on their manes. So a tip, if you don't place them too close, you won't see. All of the pens that I'm using in this video will be linked in the description down below, and on my blog I have a blog post where I show you the whole box. You have the box's dimensions and everything, and you have the Copic pens. There's also a clickable inventory list, both in the video and over on the blog. So if you are looking for any of the things in these videos, you can find it there. For this cute little wagon, it's not a wagon. I have the word of what it is on the tip of my tongue, and I've had it for days. Chariot. It's a chariot. There we go. The little chariot. I used the same yellow reds on it as I used for her hair. However, I added more of the YR21 than the lighter YR20, so the wagon actually looks a little bit darker than what her hair looks, just by kind of modifying the amount of the different colors that I'm using. I also made the shadow on the left side of the wagon because I knew I wanted the wagon to be on the left side. I did the shadows on the girl and the unicorn on the right side because I wanted her to be on the right side. And then you get the idea that the light is from the middle of where you're seeing this. And it's just like tricking your eyes to think that it's even more depth, that there are even more light sources, even though it isn't. To coordinate with the rest of the wagon, I'm using the R32 on the wheels and on the little heart. I'm just gonna color them in without any kind of shadowing because I didn't feel they needed it, and they are very, very thin. When you're working on very, very small things, you might actually don't need to do any shadowing. You can just make them kind of flat and you still have those details. And also because this wagon will be a little bit further in, even though only one depth into my shadow box, the shadows doesn't need to be as clear because you won't see it so up front. as the rest of the images. Also, you want the girl or I want the girl and the unicorn in the front to be the main thing for this. I'm going to go in and do the second unicorn. This is a jumping unicorn, and I ended up making it look like it's jumping over a hill, just in the back of the shadow box. Again, I'm using the B000 and the B000 on the coloring. And I'm using the 0, so the colorless blender, to blend it out. And what it does, it kind of pushes some of the outer pigment, because the colorless blender is pigmentless. It doesn't do anything to your paper whatsoever. If you accidentally drip something there, it won't do anything with it. But what it does, the alcohol kind of pushes some of the pigments from the B-quadruple into the paper, so it gets a little bit more of a gradient feel, and then it doesn't look like it has those really straight lines. It's more fuzzy. And that is how you build up the illusion of dimension. For the rest of the unicorn, I'm going to do the same thing as I did for the first unicorn, and that is that I am coloring the mane and the tail, with every little piece gets to have its own color. So again, I go through the R32, the YR12, the Y13G02, the B01 and the V12, and kind of just let it go in rainbow color on the mane, and then on the tail, and then on the mane. And also the little hearts that it has on its bum, it gets little R32 hearts. So the hearts on the, even though these are from different stamp sets, the jumping unicorn and the little and the wagon, for example, are from different stamp sets, but it's the same designer, I believe. I'm not sure, but it might be. It looks like it. So the hearts is very similar, which makes these stamp sets kind of go together. For the teeny tiny clouds, I'm just going in with a light blue and follow the lines on the bottom of the clouds to give it slight dimension. For the crown, I'm gonna go in with the same yellows that I did for the hair and the chariot, and just go in, do it. I don't blend it as good because I want it to be a little bit stripy, because it looks more like metal when it's a little bit stripy. So that's how I did it. However, the YR21 actually dries a little bit lighter than what it lays down, so it looks even less blended after it dried. So I should have gone over with the Y21 once again after that. I didn't. And for the second clouds, the bigger clouds, I'm using two blues. So I'm using the B000 and the B000. So I'm just going to do exactly the same I did as the little clouds. And then I'm going to blend that out just slightly with that lighter blue on the clouds. And that is going to give them a little bit of dimension, look a little bit more fuzzy. It's super simple. You can go in and do a lot of more details than I did here, and you could use other colors. This kind of makes it look like it is a blue sky. If you had another color of sky, for example, sunset, for example, you might want to reflect some of those sunset colors like pink or purple in the clouds. But yeah, that was all of the coloring for today. I hope you liked it. If you want to see the rest of the video, kind of the video with the box, there it will be linked in the description down below and at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!